What's up, you beauties? Welcome to episode 3.2 of High and Wide, our first official live show. I'm here, Jim, as always, with Jack and Kyle. We have a special guest, Steve, from our Full Circle show. Boys, what's going on?
What's that?
What's up, boys?
We have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot's kind of going on since the Flyers have last played. They won't be playing for a week, unfortunately, due to COVID. They have a couple players on the protocol list. Before we get to our episode, let's talk about our sponsorship with Manscaped. I'd be remiss. Valentine's Day is on Sunday, guys. Do you know?
Sunday.
This weekend.
Sunday. This weekend sometime already. Make sure you're ready for it. Make sure you go get your very own refined Manscaped cologne. Beautiful scent. Really couldn't be a better scent. You could spritz it on wherever you like, in your mouth, in your pits. I recommend it everywhere. So great smell. They have their cleanser here. This stuff's great. I don't know if you guys use that. Get your balls feeling fresh, smelling fresh. The Plow 2.0, if you guys are like me and Kyle here, we use it to shave our heads, shave our nuts. Actually, don't use this on your nuts. I do not recommend that for your balls. Just have to shave once. Great straight blade razor. Comes with extra razors here. Real good stuff. I'll show you my dome real quick. I use it up there. See that? Nice and fresh. So, yeah, I mean, you guys have gotten some products in the mail. What kind of products do you guys have, and what do you like about them?
Well, first thing, Jim, I just want to point out, because I've been asked this a lot. I've brought it up on Full Circle. The cologne is normal cologne. You do not have to spritz it on your balls.
No, you don't have to.
It's not kind of some special cologne that only goes there. It's just normal cologne. It's very pungent, but it's very good. So just one spritz is all you need. Other than that, I just got a couple of new blades and some ball wipes, which are more necessary than you realize. And I suggest using everything that they have to offer, because you'll see how good it is. Especially the Crop Reviver. That's one of my favorite ones. That's the one with the
aloe.
Aloe, yes.
Especially with Valentine's Day coming up. You guys got a date? I mean, I think everybody here is taken. But if you got a date coming up, trying to make some first impressions, second, third impressions, I don't know how it works today. Make sure that you're fresh down there, guys. Don't go in with the hairy nuts anymore. There's ways to treat to get rid of that stuff. People don't like hair. Whatever. Don't be a bear. So let's move on. Let's talk some hockey. The first topic I really wanted to discuss with you guys was former Flyers GM Ron Hextall taking the GM job in Pittsburgh. What were you guys' initial thoughts, and what do you think we can expect moving forward from Hexy?
I hope he didn't learn too much. That's pretty much where I'm sitting at this point. Like, you got a split down the middle of people upset that he went to Pittsburgh, and a split down the middle of he's not going to do anything in Pittsburgh. We had him here. I understand he didn't do much here except draft a ton of talent, and I'm hoping that that's what he does in Pittsburgh, at least for a little while. But I'm almost positive Hextall's not going to go into Pittsburgh with the same mindset that he came here with, which is a little concerning. But overall, I mean, good for him. He did deserve another GM shot, so I'm not too mad about it.
Why don't we get into the different in the situation when he came into Philly and Pitt? So first, I want to say I cannot wait until he brings in Dave Haxall. I'm looking forward to that.
Could you imagine?
He might not be head coach. He might be his new mole or something on the defensive end. I don't know. His new Gord Murphy or something. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to when he's brought in some capacity, and I want to know if it's head coach. That's even better. But I feel like this team isn't as bad off as the Flyers were, so this might be different. Does he trade Malkin? I think he wants to. It depends. It's going to be a collaboration with him and ownership. And Kyle alluded to, he's definitely learned something from his first go-around. All GMs do. So you got to figure that he's going to do at least a better job originally. But he doesn't have a lot of dead weight contracts to get rid of compared to what he had in Philly. So it might be a quicker turnaround. Not sure. He also was down a lot more assets, because I think they don't have like their first round pick, and I definitely not what they trade. They have like no prospects, one NHL ready prospect potentially, And do they even have their next year's pick? Or are they kind of weak? They got a lot of work to do. But he does have guys who are tradable. Letang's tradable. Malkin's tradable. I don't know what you'll get, but you'll get something. I don't think Crosby gets traded, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. I'm not that worried. Unless this team bottoms out and is drafting between picks 1 and 4 and multiple drafts, then I'm really just not all that worried.
I don't know, man. I think I don't know if the Penguins are better off than the situation he came into Philly with. I mean, you had some guys you could move that were kind of low cost, but fill in for a type of like a playoff team. The teams that need those lower guys for cheap to go on a playoff run. Like Letang's somewhat movable, but at 7.25, does his play match the money? And Malkin looks like a shell of himself at $9.5 million. And Hextall's there to rebuild, but didn't what's his face Rutherford leave because he wanted to kind of start trading away pieces, or at least that's what we were told. Allegedly, but it's kind of like it's almost you get Hextall in the rebuild kind of mode, but then you bring in Brian Burke, who's arguably one of the most aggressive GMs we've seen. It's like a contrasting styles. I wonder how it works out. Is Berkey there to kind of make sure he doesn't sell off the farm, or are they going to let him go full rebuild? It's kind of weird because they're in a different position than with the Flyers, where it's hard to sacrifice Sid's mid-30s years where he's not really declining, but he's not going to get any better than he is now. So I just think they're in a really weird spot. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at what the Flyers had when he came in, but I can't say the Penguins are better off right now. I mean, you're saddled with Matheson for what, 6 more years or 5 more years? Like you've got Crosby under contract for a while.
How long is
Tanev
under contract?
I think
anybody know?
he's 5 more years.
4 or 5 more years.
5.
But you got to remember, he had Le Cavalier, who was worth nothing. He had a retired Chris Pronger on his books. He had all sorts of issues, and really, there's no prospect pool then. There was nothing.
Yeah, but don't forget, he had a salary cap situation that was better off than what you're going into now.
Not with Philly, he didn't.
No. I mean, around the NHL.
We assume the cap's going to go up in about maybe not next season, but the one after. But if you're rebuilding, that doesn't really affect you too much. Yeah, sure, maybe you eat some money when you trade somebody, but if you're rebuilding it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother you too much. And Malkin's got name value. I think he can definitely bring you something back. Same with Letang, a puck-moving defenseman. These guys, are they shells of their former selves? Most likely. But compared to guys who were Pronger was retired and he had to move that contract. He was zero value. Le Cavalier was done. He's just cooked. The fact he got anything for him was impressive. I think they were in cap hell, and we were all kind of prepared for 4 years of nothing. And then with this, it's the team's kind of competitive. You make a good point, but in the sense that I don't know what ownership wants, what the president wants. And we saw Toronto kind of do this when they brought in this dream team. They got it, Babcock, they had Lou Lamoriello, and who was I can't remember they had one more guy in there. Brendan Shanahan was the president, and they had this tripod of power. And look what ended up happening. Lou Lamoriello didn't make the best decisions. They ended up having to buy out or give up a first-round pick to trade Marlowe to Carolina so they could buy him out. And then he goes off to the Islanders and does something completely different. So, that's not always a good thing when it's this power, move of all these great guys, or quote-unquote great guys. And you look at Hextall, he told the Wild, and why he didn't get the job, you need to break it all down. They're no, we're not doing that. So do you think he said something different in Pittsburgh, and he's not allowed to trade guys like Letang and Malkin? That makes no sense. Why would he have taken the job? I think it's a 4-year deal, so he's got to do something quick.
Do you really have to break down the Penguins, though, from top to bottom?
I think you do. I think that you do.
I think you do, too.
Yeah,
and that's why I love this hire, because the Penguins are not going to be relevant. How long is it now since he became GM of the Flyers?
Yeah.
It's 6 years now. The Flyers, they made it to the second round, but they're still an incomplete team. In my opinion, you guys aren't going to like this because of Hextall. The Penguins are not going to be fucking relevant for 10 years now. because with Hextall there. So I love it because it's like, they're going to hang on to Crosby, Malkin, and Letang forever. They're going to rot out, and he's going to be replacing the cupboard for 4 or 5 years until they shit can him and bring in the guy that's going to take him over the top. Like, that's kind of what Hextall is. And now we're,
That goes against everything Hextall would do. I don't even know why they would hire him at that point.
That's the only thing that can do. The only way that he can rebuild that cupboard somehow is to trade Crosby, which they'll never do.
I don't know if they'll trade Crosby. That's like it's a weird unicorn situation.
That's a guy you keep because they're gonna suck the next couple of years. So they can't trade Crosby, or the fucking team's gonna move. They're gonna move to KC or something. So they're still gonna have to figure out a way to put fans in seats while Hextall destroys that franchise, just like he did to Philly.
Destroyed. I
don't know about that.
I knew you were going to slip that in there.
Destroyed it.
Let me lay out Jim's point here, and they didn't draft any superstars. That's what he's saying.
Exactly. So the Penguins are going to be the Flyers for the next 10 years.
Line. These are guys who went 1, 2, and 3 in the draft. Like,
if Hextall drafts a superstar, I'll be irate. I'll be so jealous because he did not do that here.
What do you mean?
I said I don't want them to finish so bad that they're drafting top 5 because that's what the Penguins did. All their guys that are worth a damn outside of maybe Letang were top 3 picks.
Yep.
Marc-Andre Fleury, Sidney Crosby, Jordan Staal, who they later flipped for picks, Malkin. They were top 2 picks, top 2, like 4 top 2 picks. I don't know what any GM could have accidentally drafted that dynasty. Like Hextall was able to find a lot of talent. Yeah, now all of it's worked out. But like superstar studs, like the Pasterniks, they're not always hanging around or pick 18 or wherever the hell he was picked. Those are really rare. It's all the guys at the top of the draft, the top 5.
He took Travis Sanheim over David Pasternak.
Half the league passed on Pasternak. They're not going to hate on the guy. He also
drafted the whole first round.
But that's what I'm saying.
Round passed on him.
Everybody, right? On Pasternak. Yeah, you're talking about the one, like, it's very rare that those guys are that good they get picked later. It happens. That's why it's fun. But Hart already is a superstar, Dom. I appreciate that. No, a lot of people hate on that. You know, like Lindblom, 5th round pick, and he's a 2nd line player. Like, come on, give him some credit there.
How about Phil Myers, undrafted free agent?
Undrafted free agent. Sanheim's no slouch. Zamula, we'll see what's up with him. I'm trying to think of who else he got.
Am I the only one that still can't get over the fact that Calgary passed on Phil Myers?
Well, after the entire league 7 times, and they actually had a close look at him and still let him go. And they need defense. Yeah, it made no sense. But like I heard you guys shitting on the Provorov pick a little bit, and that one made me laugh because you know some of the names that went ahead of him. Like, who's better, Provorov or Noah Hannafin or Pavel Zacha?
Wait, who was shitting on Provorov?
The pick. It was an easy pick. It was the 7th pick. Oh, it fell into his lap. Like, he took the right guy. He could have did with those other GMs and taken somebody else. You know what I mean? He took the right guy. Could have did what Boston did and take 3 no names. You know, he didn't. He took the right guy. Like, I can't hate on it that too much. You know, I mean, okay, you want to shit on a name? Shit on Jay O'Brien. I didn't like that pick at all. I mean, Keandre Miller went what 2 picks later? You know, and they could have traded up for Ty Smith. Both those defensemen look like studs right now. You know, I hated the taking a project with the 19th overall pick of the draft, something like that. Like, I hated that pick.
He's too smart for his own good, Hextall.
So at times, but Farabee looks pretty good, and he got that pick from trading Shen. That was the Blues pick. That wasn't our pick. That was the Blues pick, and Farabee kind of fell. So you're not trading up for him because what are you going to do? Trade 2 picks and move up? Nobody did that year. There was barely any trading moving up. He traded a player, got 2 first-round picks, got Morgan Frost, and this jury's still out on him, and Joel Farabee looks like an absolute stud. And I agreed with something you said the other night, because I know you think I'm like this huge Konechny lover, and I'm really not. I just defend
I don't think that. I like Konechny. For the record, I like Konechny. Yeah. There's things about him that I don't like that annoy me, but I like the player.
You made a good point. A guy like Farabee could make Konechny expendable if you're looking at defense. I agree with you 100% there. But you wouldn't have Farabee if Hextall doesn't make that trade and then make that pick.
Sure. I agree. I'm not saying it was all bad. Just that, you know, when you name guys like Konechny, Sanheim, Lindblom was a nice player, but none of these guys really go like, oh my God, like we could win a Stanley Cup with these guys. They're
But
just
my
kind of
point is,
a bunch
they
of
were picked
names.
after pick 15 in the first round, and then Lindblom's a 5th round pick. Like,
Right.
now I know what you're going to come back at me with, and
What?
you're not wrong.
That if you're gonna
No
redo a team,
one
fucking
factor.
redo it the right way. No, none of this
pick.
retool shit. And because you know what it creates? It was mediocre. So you know what he used? He used making the playoffs 2 out of 4 years while he was here. Whoop-de-fucking-do. They got bounced, quicker than I'm not even going to say it, but they got bounced in the first round twice, like cake. And then what do we have now? We have more mediocrity because of that. Like, if you're going to suck, do it the right way, get some fucking studs, and let's go win a cup. Because this shit sucks. And in my opinion, it's because of the half-ass job that Hextall did.
Well, that's because they didn't give him the 32 years it would have taken to build the franchise through just draft picks.
That's what I'm saying, and that's why I'm happy he's with Pittsburgh, because he's going to destroy that franchise.
On your team, like a Drew in his prime, you're going to tank. Like, that's a tough sell. Like, how do you do that?
I mean, same deal with Crosby in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Not really, though, because Crosby has 3 cups.
35 years old. At the time, Drew was like 26. I mean, that's a little different. But, like, I think that's why I'm saying I think he's in a better situation in Pittsburgh. The guys are older. He can move on. They're not as good, so the team's not going to be as good. They're already shitting. They've already picked a guy who's going to rebuild. That's a specialty. Now, when it comes to putting an NHL roster together and winning, I never saw Hextall do that. That was my beef with him. That and all the locker room shenanigans.
Yeah, that was Lombardi in Los Angeles that put that team together. Traded for Richards, Carter, all those guys out there. I mean, Hextall learned from. You think that Hextall learned from him? He kind of did his own thing here. I don't know what he's going to do with Pittsburgh. Don't get me wrong, because I know that the Flyers have Provy, Hart, Farabee, Frost. All these young potential players, but. You know what I'm going to love the most?
Talked about in the Norris discussion, like he's going to be a stud. Like, come on,
you know what I'm going to love the most though is that Pittsburgh fans are going to turn into what Flyers fans are now.
No, they're going to be non-existent, just like they are every time Pittsburgh disappears.
All you're going to hear is how much potential that the Penguins are going to have in 20 fucking years because Hextall is going to be drafting for them for the next 10 years.
And is that going to be the 3 fans that stick around?
Yeah,
Stop.
yeah.
I hear Kansas City has a good fan base. They could try that.
Yeah, maybe that's the entire move. Yeah, there you go.
It almost was until they were handed Crosby. So
yeah, they'll try it again.
Mighty Mouse 003. Oh, Paulie, shoot your questions, dude. Shoot your questions in the comments, boys. Thanks for everyone that showed up and is commenting over here. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know I kind of went off there a little bit, but I have, I guess, pent up rage for Ron Hextall right now. So when I saw that he went to Pittsburgh, I was a little bit happy and a little bit like, what a dick. Like, you're a Flyer, dude. What are you doing GM in the Penguins?
Well, we fired him, so it's kind of like, what are you going to do?
He's a little better.
Job,
Maybe he's a double secret agent, and this all was a plan from the start.
If he hires Hacksaw, I'll believe it.
Sink Pittsburgh.
If he makes Hacksaw the coach, I'll believe it then.
Yeah, how about that, man? Is he still? He's an assistant still in Toronto, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah.
Interesting stuff there. Yeah, so that was the big news. The other news is the Flyers are coming off a 7-4 win against the Capitals. It seems like forever ago now. Steve, you said their game Sunday is canceled as well, so we're not sure when their next game is going to be. Thursday. So over a week away. There you go, Ty. That answers Ty's question in the comments. Let me ask you guys, I guess we talked about Ghost in the last episode. The Flyers are now 5-1-1 with Shane Gostisbehere in the lineup. We gave him a little bit of credit in the last one. We weren't ready to give him a lot of the credit in the last one. Where do we kind of stand now with Ghost, guys? Same, or have you changed a little bit?
I mean, I don't hate Ghost. So I want everybody to realize that. Like, I do not hate Ghost. But he is what he is. And everybody needs to realize that he's not going to become a number 1 defenseman or even a top 4 guy. And he's not providing offense. So we can write the whole 65-point season as a fluke off because he's just not providing offense anymore. All I can hope is that he continues this mediocre, average play and just kind of keeps the Flyers defense afloat at this point, because it's all we can really hope for.
So, Jack, your head hasn't exploded yet. So, do you want to go, or you want me to?
No, you go ahead.
All right. So I actually talked about Jack about Ghost, and his argument was people go nuts anytime he doesn't screw something up. They're talking about how he's back and everything. From me, what I've seen from Ghost is exactly what I've expected to see from Ghost. He actually looks healthy. He's moving well enough. I don't think we're getting back to any 65-point levels, but at the same time, he's giving me what I expect from him, and I'm okay with that. So when you see him chip a puck up the wall, or he's a little bit, he's got more speed than Braun or Hag. Like we're not dealing with Niskanen or Ghost. We're dealing with Braun, Hag, Ghost, Gustafsson. So it's like you're picking from the bottom of the litter, but at least Ghost provides you a little bit more of the puck movement aspect than either of those guys. So he's given me every time I want to. He's giving me everything I want to see right now. Would I like more? Sure, but I've realized that he's not that guy. So
are we talking about the same Ghost that moves the puck directly in front of his own goalie before he turns it over?
That's what I expect out of him. I expect those turnovers. So for people to get crazy about him making a good play, I don't try not to get too high or too low with that, but he's going to turn the puck over. He's going to turn it over in bad situations, but at least he can move a little bit more than a Braun or a Hag, and he might give you a little bit more there. So I'm getting what I expect to get out of him.
Yeah, I mean, there were certain articles I read that make me want to cry, and it's in certain the guy he ties his skates all by himself, and Twitter explodes with how great he looks, and that blows my mind. I've never seen such a bias. Like, I get it, you like the guy, but be realistic, please. And for as far as the offense, like it's non-existent. He can't hit the net, and if he hits something, it's usually the defender who is literally 2 feet in front of him. Like, those are the two things he hits: the glass behind the net or the defenseman right in front of him.
And if I got to hear Jim Jackson one more time with that stupid move he pulls at the blue line that puts him against the boards, which is literally useless. Literally, you took the puck to the fucking boards and skated 10 feet, and Jim Jackson's like, there's Ghost with his patented move. Like, Get the fuck out of here. The guy's done nothing.
It's like they don't know it's coming. But, like, he took a slap shot the other night, and his stick exploded. Like, he hit the ice like 2 feet from where the puck should have been, and he put everything he had into it. And it led to an odd man rush because he's down a stick. He's got to skate backwards, and it's like, I don't know if he's trying to leave his feet when he hits this puck. He's the Happy Gilmore all of a sudden now, but offensively he's a joke. I mean, yeah, he can pass a little bit. Whenever he decides to do something offensively, like shoot, it's a joke. Defensively, we already discussed about when he moves in front of his own net, which you're not supposed to do. Everybody don't pass in front of your net. You don't move in front of your net. He just is immune to all that, and he does it. I get what Steve's saying.
Him and Gus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like you said this too, like he's brought stability back, and I can't argue against that. There's a familiarity there with him. I really appreciate he's not as slow as Braun. I think me on sneakers on the ice would be faster than Braun, but for $4.5 million, it's a joke. But for a body, a Band-Aid, I'll take it. But if we talk about certain issues with this team and him being on the top pairing because of how bad the rest of the team is a massive issue. He's filling a role at most at this point. He reminds me of a guy that you pick up off the scrap heap, and he's a little bit better than you expect. Like this guy still can play a little bit, and he fills in for you. Not a $4.5 million puck moving defenseman who's 26, 27. So I'll take what I can get, considering all the injuries and the lack of not replacing Niskanen. But as far as me thinking he's playing good or anything like that, that's just fool's gold. Like, come on.
We got a comment here from Dom. Every time Ghost attempts a shot, the glass almost shatters behind the net because he can't hit the damn net. He couldn't hit sand if he fell off a camel, eh? But boom.
Yeah,
You just gotta make sure. You just gotta make sure JVR's out there every time he's taking a shot, high and fucking wide. So at least JVR has a 50-50 shot at deflecting and then in the net.
He's going to make JVR a shortstop diving for that damn puck. How bad he misses the net.
How about this little stat here? The Flyers could be 7-0 with Ghost in the lineup, and the 2 losses they
So they're not.
They blew the one game against Boston because of penalties, right? They lost 4-3 in OT. And then the next game, they lost 2-1, gave up 2 goals in the span of 20 seconds. A goal that Moose probably should have had. Won't give him that much shit because he's been playing out of his mind. But 5-1-1 with Ghost in the lineup could have easily been 7-0. Boston kind of has their number right now. I'm not saying it's all because of Ghost, but the defense has looked better since he's come back. And I'm going to root for Ghost to play well. If this is what we're going to get the rest of the year from Ghost, sucks that he's making $4.5 million, but I'm okay with that if he can bring stability.
Yeah, but come playoffs. So I mean, this doesn't really.
Well, look,
that's my biggest issue. It's like, okay, yes, Ghost, he's a warm body. You know, he's filling a role right now, but like at some point, that role needs to be expanded upon. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't foresee going into the playoffs with Ghost on your top pair or even your second pair not producing jack shit. And okay, yeah, he's a warm body. Yeah, well, that doesn't help you in the playoffs.
Yeah, like I get, like he's doing. I don't want him to either. Like, if he's playing bad and he's out there as much as he is, the Flyers are in trouble. You know, I want him to play good. I want the team to be good. But let's not kid ourselves. When push comes to shove, and we actually want to like go places, if he's in the position he's in, it's going to bite us in the ass. And it's not just him. There's a lot of issues with this team. But when we're talking about him and what he does wrong, it's a problem. It's a big problem. It needs to be addressed. He cannot be playing up there for that long. The wheels are going to come off. They always do. And it's only a matter of time. We've already seen these mega mistakes. They just haven't wound up in the back of the net yet because he's been saved, honestly. And it already, the first time you brought this up, it was the Flyers are 4-0 with Ghost. Now they could have been 7-0, but so it's already starting to go back to reality here. And I think ultimately, the longer he's in the lineup and the more minutes he plays, you're just asking yourself for a big mistake,
They could have been 7-0 if Ghost produced in any of those games, but he didn't. He was just a warm body. So,
speaking of,
in the sense that they are playing better defensively, I'll give you that. They're playing a little bit better, but they also spend the entire game in their own zone still, and that's a big problem.
Speaking of when things go back to normal, Kyle, Steve, what do you think about JVR's play so far?
He's got to be on like the Russian gas or something because
no, he's just on the Kyle's prediction machine.
That must be what it is. He heard you talking about him. He looks faster than he did last year. He looks like he's buying into the system. And like last year where it looked like he was just kind of going through the motions, there's like a renewed life with him. I don't know if it's the talk of getting shipped out to Seattle or what it is, but he's probably the biggest reason they are record-wise where they are right now, despite not playing full games pretty much.
Playing like shit. You can say it.
Yeah, they've been playing like shit. But JVR has contributed. That one he roofed the other night was that was a thing of beauty. The puck was rolling. He just puts it right over the goalie's shoulder. I said I didn't think he was going to have anything left after watching him last year. But, man, he's been a pleasant surprise. It's really incredible to see what he's doing.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room here, okay? So who's still shipping him to Seattle?
I'm not. If he continues,
$7 million, yeah.
I mean, unless they take Voracek, but I don't think
that's what I'm saying. If you're going to expose somebody, I'm exposing Voracek over JVR. If JVR continues this,
you can't because he's got a no movement clause where JVR does
not. Jake does not have a no movement clause.
Yeah, he does.
He signed like a mega max deal. And by the way, Holmgren and Hextall give those things away like M&Ms, like nothing. It comes with everything. And I don't even because the first one Jake wasn't exposed.
Jake Voracek does not have a no movement clause.
Double check him on that.
Interesting. I thought he did.
No, he doesn't.
I still don't think they expose him. I just don't. I mean,
No, they'll expose him, but
better?
they won't take him.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
will
who-
if you ship a nice little pick their way. They're
But
they'll
they don't
be
have to do that with
franchise.
JVR. That's what I was getting to. They don't have to do that with JVR. First, I thought
Greatest-
you had to give him a pick. They just take him off our hands, pick free. Because what do you think that JVR is going to run this back next year? Because
I don't know, man. He
So
does
far,
look good.
He's following my predictions so
older,
far
too.
this year. So
he's getting older too. You think he's going to get faster? You think?
I didn't think he was. Did you think he was going to get faster from last year to this year? Do you think he was going to throw hits this year? Did you think he was going to score 33 goals? Because I said he was.
He's
And
still
sure
gonna
as hell
score
looks like
33.
it.
So if you look at his entire career and he did it 1 year, and you think he's going to do it again based on his whole career, it's again fool's gold comes to mind again. We've seen players do this, and it's like I don't know. man.
I'd rather unload a Voracek than.
But who was Seattle more likely to take?
Well, if you protect.
I don't think
You're
you
not
can.
protecting
I would
either of them.
sacrifice a pick for them to take Jake.
Don't protect either and see if they take
JVR
one.
comes off the books quicker, so you're getting rid of two
That's
$7
what I
million
mean.
contracts.
Yeah, I would prefer Jake, but if I'm Seattle, I don't know if I take.
That's my whole thing. Is Voracek has 4 years.
It's a long
JVR
time.
has 2 left.
Yeah.
I can
Two.
suffer one more year.
Three.
So I can.
Is it 3?
Well, it's
Yeah.
next year and the following.
No, he's got.
So he's got
Yeah.
2 years after this year.
Yeah,
Oh my
Jake's
God.
got 3 after this year. Yep. Okay.
Jesus.
Jake has 4, including this year. So yeah. But I'd much rather take 2 more years
Thanks, Hextall.
of hoping JVR can repeat what he's doing this season than watching Jake Voracek turn over the puck and pass on shots and just be
However,
average at 8.25 million.
if I'm Seattle, I'm gonna want to take Jake. I'm gonna want draft picks.
Me? Why would you? If Jake still manages, what I don't
No,
know.
see, I'm watching the Flyers too, so I'm like, the reason you just said not to take Jake is why I'm not going to take him without some compensation.
I would
Now-
sweeten it. Just get rid of that fucking contract
What?
because
What?
it's
You give a first round pick just to take that contract?
yeah, I would. Because what we're gonna keep stackpiling picks? Don't we want to win a Stanley Cup?
Well, we gotta find that superstar we never found. We need all the picks we can get.
They're gonna play and win 3
By
years.
the way, Cole Caulfield has almost a goal and an assist per game.
Yeah, but what did he do in World Juniors? I heard he
They
shit
won
the
the
bed.
championship.
They
won
did.
gold.
No thanks to
They
him.
won gold. What do you mean? They won gold. They beat Canada 2-0.
I would move a first round pick to get rid of Jake's contract. It's 1 year of a pick.
Oh, that's a tough pill to swallow. What if we're like bouncing the first round? That's like the 20th pick or something.
I mean, they're gonna have to sign some of these average guys that Hextall drafted eventually, so they need the money.
You just can't stop, can you?
All these fucking two-way
Give me-
forwards they got in the
Who is-
system.
give me a good GM who's drafted only studs in late rounds, not first overall.
I mean, Tampa Bay is always the example, right? That's who we're trying to be.
Victor Hedman
Stamkos
were
and
1-1.
Vasilevsky.
Weren't they 1-1?
Detroit used to do it.
Weren't they 1-1?
Detroit used to do it.
I mean, that's what a GM gets paid. I mean,
Detroit. So
draft
used to do
good
it.
players.
how far back we going now? Was that pre?
Still doing it. I mean, you did regardless. I mean, if there's
Zetterberg
7
was
rounds
the
or
5th
9
round
rounds,
pick.
still picking players
Where
in
was
later rounds.
Lidstrom taken? Where was Lidstrom taken? Anybody got that one? You're going back pre-salary cap with some of those names on those cup teams. Pre-salary cap. That's saying something. And that's
Draft good
impressive.
players. That's all I want. Not Jay O'Brien.
It's
Yeah, Jay O'Brien was a bust of a
you
century on
said
it.
Tampa. Steven Stamkos was number 1, and Hedman was what, 2? Like
Braden-
1 and 2
about-
picks.
Braden Point.
Ooh, one guy. You got, but according to you guys, it's not Braden Point. It's when
Yeah,
they
because
had
they went after a
Maroon and those
superstar
guys.
stud and not a two-way forward.
Yeah. First off, sit down, Jack.
I'm sitting. I agree.
Secondly, there's no coincidence the dude won a Stanley Cup on back-to-back teams.
He did everything. I saw.
Huh.
Maroon.
Oh, come on, Pat.
Oh,
Maroon,
we
that's-
getting into
that's
this?
how we're gonna. Oh,
Yeah,
come
Maroon's
on.
a stud.
How
He
do
had
we-
that
wait.
overtime goal, and if he wasn't on the team, the Blues don't win easily.
I agree.
Oh my god.
I do.
Are we doing this again?
I do too.
I don't know if the Lightning win last year either without
He
him.
won the Conn Smythe, right?
Bogosian,
Oh
Shannon.
wait, it was Ryan O'Reilly. My
Oh,
bad.
it's amazing. It's amazing, all these straw arguments, but
Yeah, I know.
If
I
you
got
if you honestly think about it,
This is fun.
you have to have more than just superstars on your team. You
I
have
agree.
to
Yeah,
have
but
role
he's
players.
not the reason. He's not the reason they won.
Nobody said.
Let's get the superstars first, then we'll add those guys.
Yeah,
That's
but what are you going to get superstars with, dude? You're
With
going to
Grant,
end up
right?
You're going to end up with late ass first round picks over and over and over and over again
You got to
because
figure
of
it
what
out.
Hextall built.
You're not adding grit to this Flyers team and going to the Cup because there's not enough superstar talent. There's not. You could add Maroon to this team. Does that put us in the Cup? Fuck no.
Jack, I think I agree with your point.
And I agree with the adding of those kind of players, but we need to find the first part of the formula, like the bigger part first.
You don't supplement grit with those first overall picks. You supplement the first overall picks with grit.
Yeah, I think I would agree. But here's my frustration with this current Flyers roster is it looks to me like this is the roster. Like these are the guys that they're gonna go try to win a cup
And
with.
what's the biggest thing they're missing aside from a top
Defense.
4 defenseman?
Massive hole.
To Jack's point, though, they're missing the superstar and they're missing the grit. Like they're an incomplete team. And so, like, if you add grit to this
They
team,
are putting up a lot of goals for an incomplete fucking superstar-less team.
Because JVR came out of fucking nowhere.
so I think that this team
And
can
Farabee-
win with the
Farabee's looking
roster.
like he could be a superstar. He's looking pretty damn good.
But either way you slice it, this team is incomplete. They lack, I think you need a mix of certain players on a Stanley Cup winning roster, and the Flyers don't have that mix right now. They just, they have the skill players, and that's literally it, right?
It's a chemistry. It's a formula rather. It's a recipe.
Yeah.
And like you kind of like look at Toronto. Like everybody's freaking out because they added Simmons and all that. And Simmons his fighting has been great. He's been changing. He's also got 5 goals. Like he can play still. They can use. He's on the top power play. He can still play and do that. Not to mention that team has Austin Matthews, who's being compared to like Ovechkin in scoring. You got Marner. You got Tavares. We don't have anybody on our team who holds a candle to those 3 players. So once we have that, then we can add the Simmons-esque kind of player. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but all right. So we don't have the Marner, the Matthews. I agree, but most teams don't have that. But if you look up and down the Maple Leafs lineup, I would argue the Flyers are deeper overall. I mean, I'd rather have the Flyers' 3rd and 4th lines that are out there. I mean, look what Lawton just gave you a hat trick the other day in a game where you couldn't stop the Capitals' first line. He comes in, he contributes a hat trick. I'd say the Flyers are as deep as any team right now, but they're just missing that high-end skills. So you got to take some and give some. The thing they're really missing is Matt Niskanen. I mean,
that's the way we're built. That's the way we're built for sure. However, with Toronto, I think that they were worse off last year, and now they're looking a little bit better. They added Brody. I thought Barry was no good. He was just
that was rough.
And Brody looks better. Simmons looks better. Spezza is playing better. Like they have some depth. We're like top to bottom depth. I've told these guys it reminds me of the late 2000 teams, like right before 2010, where we wouldn't have a 60 or 50 goal scorer, but we'd have 5 guys who scored 20.
Yeah,
that's what this. But like ultimately, you look at who's won the cup. I see more superstar players like Tampa. Like they have 3 of those guys. Washington has Kovalchuk. Well, they did technically.
They did, yeah.
Year before, Ovechkin, Penguins, Malkin, Crosby. Like you want to throw in the Blues in there. Like I'd say that Petrogano is a goddamn good defenseman. Not to mention Binnington played out of his mind. And you always say goaltending, if it gets hot, they could beat anybody. So when I look at all those teams, I don't see very many teams that are built on just straight depth with no superstars. I think mostly the superstars power through. And look at those Chicago teams that have won with Taves and Kane. Like I lean that way. Depth's good. I think it's perfect for the regular season. When it comes to playoff time, ultimately your stars shine.
I'm saying the same thing, I think, as you are. I'd rather, it's hard to get those superstars unless you draft in the top of the draft or you get really lucky. You've got to build with what you have. Like, how do you go out? Were you going to offer Pierre-Luc Dubois for Patrick Laine. I mean, for the Jets, I argue that's as good as they could have gotten back in that trade. I don't think the Flyers were
done.
I don't think the Flyers were offering anything close to that. Like Sanheim, you're not going to offer Provorov, obviously, and I honestly don't think.
Can I just cut in real quick? By the way, did you guys see the report that that's what Winnipeg asked for, and that's why the deal didn't get done?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
Yeah, but
I missed that. What?
that's not.
You don't believe it?
No,
I
believe it, but like
if I'm Winnipeg, I'm asking for Provorov, and they laughed me out of the building.
Right, and
the
that's
report
probably
comes-
exactly what happened.
Yeah,
you guys are jerks. That's what happened. Sorry, it was actually reported. So, and it was put on Twitter by Sam Cardici. So I just
What was the goddamn report? I missed it.
Winnipeg asked for Provorov in return for Laine. That's why the deal did not go down.
And then they take fucking Pierre-Luc Dubois. How'd that work out for you, fuckheads?
Yeah, they also gave up Roslovic too, who had a really nice goal the other
Oh,
night.
that guy asked for a trade too.
Yeah, I know, but still, he's from. They might be able to keep him because he's from that from Columbus, the area. But real quick, since we're on the subject, I did all that Line A talks. If you want to shit on me now, now's the time. He was benched the last period, essentially, in the last game with Columbus. It had something to do. He said
doesn't
something.
play.
He said something to a coach or some shit. What do you guys think of that? He's already getting issues with Tortorella.
Yeah, he's getting moved again, no doubt. Because he's
Well,
not going to.
I thought that anyway, but yeah,
He's not going to re-sign in Columbus. So
Yeah, no
you know,
way.
Yeah, but he needs. You want to have value. You know what I mean? Like if I want to get traded somewhere, I want to be a shithead.
I mean,
Like,
if you're the player, you don't give two shits because you're out of there no matter what, and someone's going to pay you in the offseason.
I know,
So,
but
I
why
mean-
not get out of there sooner?
Maybe the Flyers.
But if if it's
Maybe.
me, why do I don't want to be like an anchor. I want to be an asset. So I get moved for something and then I get more money when it comes time for me to get paid. I
Yeah,
don't
but
wanna
you're
be a
thinking
shithead
about it
who-
wrong. You're
Someone's
thinking
gonna
about
pay
it
him.
from the you're not in
Players'
the NHL.
perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's Tortorella. This always happens with him, so I can't say for sure. But if I'm a Line A, I don't know. I already have this issue in one city. I'm having it in another already. I'll get moved, but when it comes time to pony up, I'm going to be known as a player who's like an issue. Like, look what happened. I know it's not the same, but like D'Angelo's, like he got sent to the minors. He'll never play for the Rangers again. Like Jesus Christ. He
I mean,
already got paid. Like
if you're a big market team, you're already licking your chops at the chance to sign this guy because you know he's not going to last in Columbus. You know,
they should trade him at the deadline. But like, why make yourself not look as you're going to make it harder on the team to trade you? We trade you for pennies on the dollar at that point.
yeah, but you don't care about
Yeah, you
don't
don't
really
care.
care about what the team gets back. It's all about you.
Very
If he
short-sighted.
gave a shit about the team, he'd already be busting he'd be busting his ass, but he doesn't give a shit.
There are players who understand that, like, I need to like play a little bit here to show I'm worth a damn.
I mean, he's got like 3 goals already, I think. So
Yeah, and that's what he was doing, and then he gets benched. So I don't know if it's Tortorella or if it's him at this point. But considering his background and Tortorella's background, it's real hard to say. But I don't know. If I wanted out of somewhere, I'd prove I wanted out of somewhere. It's not like a James Harden situation. I think it's a little different. You know,
It'll be interesting.
I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. If it were me, I'd do what I could in the positive to get out of there. So I would be.
Well, you're a good guy. That's why.
yeah, exactly.
If
I'm
someone's
actually
paying you
dick, man.
money,
You
you're
guys
going to
don't
try
know
to
me.
try to live up to your paycheck. Lion is a dick.
What does he make, by the way? He's getting a good penny, right?
Yeah, he's making some money.
Four
Millions
and a
of
half from
dollars.
Columbus.
I mean,
Ghost makes.
Or 5.
That's what Ghost makes. Never
He's a
mind.
little
He can do whatever he wants. He's better than
chunk of
Ghost.
The fucking
Oh,
comments are killing me. Look at me. I'm the
Cheesy.
captain now.
Shut up, cheesy fry. Just a couple quick little tidbits over here. Scotty Lawton, who we were talking about before, recorded his first NHL hat trick. He had 5 career 2-goal games before that game. So good for Scotty Lawtz. He kind of needed to redeem himself a little bit. He was taking some pretty bad penalties. You know, the loss the other, I think last week was blamed on him for that penalty late in the game. Kind of redeemed himself. Some huge goals against the Capitals. JVR had a goal and an assist to extend his scoring streak to 7 games. He now has 4 goals and 9 assists for 13 points in that stretch. 13 points in 7 games for JVR. I don't even know what to say about that. That's amazing to me. Like
If you
JVR,
score, we lose.
top 5 in the league. Last time I looked, top 5 in the league in scoring. Names like Draisaitl, McKinnon, McDavid. Like, holy shit. It's
He's
just
up there
cool.
with
to
those
see.
guys, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, but another thing I thought was interesting was Joel Farabee. His third game out of 13 with 3+ points in a game. Jack, I know you're a huge Farabee guy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you expect to see from Farabee moving forward?
It looks like he's really starting to. Well, he clearly put muscle on. Not what was falsely reported? 20 pounds in 2 months or something. Since he was drafted, and it's starting to show. It's really starting to show. He's starting to groove, and he's got a nice shot. Especially in his hat trick game. It's not only the last goal like kind of hit off him and went in, but the other two were really nice shots. And I hate to say it, but JVR had 2 primary assists on both of them.
Again,
They were both really nice plays, especially that first one where he kind of like poked that outlet pass kind of free and went right to Farabee. But like, it's like one of the bright stories we can say besides their record. Brian Elliott, I don't know how Ghost wound up on the top 3 players with above Farabee, mind you. It's literally because of Farabee, because of JVR, because of timely goaltending, mainly Elliott, that this team has the record they have. And the fact that my wish when we had that podcast, what we all wanted, I said I want Farabee to take that next step. He's done it, and he's done it damn early in the season, and that's fantastic to see because he's a part of the next generation of what's going to take this team going forward, and I just hope he gets better.
yeah. Kyle and Steve, your thoughts on Farabee? Or
You're breaking up there, but he looks.
Did everything kind
he
of
looks. He's,
oh, sorry, did everything glitch?
yeah, I think it was just you though.
Okay.
He looks like he's playing with confidence. He looks stronger with the puck. I mean, he's everything you could ask for what that line's doing. Like they're all kind of grooving right at the same time. Lawton, obviously, I think he's one of the most underrated Flyers that we're going to see in our that we've seen for a long time. But Farabee, he's got that extra edge to him. I think now he feels like he belongs. And it's showing in his play. Like he doesn't. It doesn't seem like the lights are too bright for him like they were last year. There were times where he just looked a little out of place. Now he looks like a everyday NHLer, and he's proven that shot that he's got is no fluke.
Yeah, confidence is a beautiful thing, and it's definitely appears that he found a bit of a groove here, and he's got some confidence when he comes into these games. Looks like he feels a lot more comfortable with the puck on his stick. Like last year when he had the puck on his stick, it kind of looked like he was like, all right, who's getting this next? Where am I going with this? Whereas now he's like, all right, I got the puck. I'm going to see if I can get around this guy and then get the puck on net, which I freaking beg that the rest of the Flyers team starts learning how to get the puck on net. That would be nice.
Just shooting in general is a start for half this team.
Yeah.
Especially the past couple of games. It seems JVR and Farabee are 2 of the only guys to do that, and it's resulted in a lot of points for them. And that's why the Flyers' record is what it is, despite this horrific play in their own end.
Yeah. I mean, Farabee's 20 years old. He's already got a hat trick. I think he joins. Did you guys see that stat? Couturier, and there was another player that
It's
I
like
Lindros.
5 Eric Lindrosses.
Yeah. Yeah, some pretty good company in that for players with a hat trick, 20 years old or less or something.
Yeah,
It
they
was. I
did it
can't
by
remember.
the youngest, whoever the youngest was. I forget who number 1. I think was Mike Richards number 1, or he was just on the list.
I may have been.
It was somebody else, 5 Eric Lindrosses, and then there was one person who was like the youngest. It might have been Richards.
It
but I
could have
can't
been.
remember. Yeah.
Should we reminisce a little bit now that you brought up Lindros? Like, those were the days.
Those were the day. You want to talk about a superstar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could use that.
That's one player that would put this team over the edge for sure.
I mean,
He's got it all. I mean, the leadership, the captain. He's got the physicality. I'm not even going to mention alpha male. Just dominated whenever he was on the ice. Yeah, would be nice. Those were the days.
John
Or-
Leclerc, like a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah, or to have a friggin' 50-goal scorer playing on the team.
3 years in a row
Yeah.
in a dead puck error. Come on.
Yeah, we don't need that though.
Nah.
So, Yeah, let me see. What else do we got to talk about here, boys? Coots, his first game back, 2 goals and an assist. How important is Sean Couturier to this team? We could start with Steve.
He's everything. He makes the whole everything look better. I mean, I found it strange that he played on the 4th line. I thought maybe it was just the first period, get him back in the game, but AV stuck with the lines and he rewarded him late in the game. You could tell he finally got his legs back, and he changes the entire dynamic of this team. Like Bunnaman, I like what he brings. He brings energy. He doesn't really stop moving, but adding Couturier to the lineup, he's your best player night in, night out, and it showed on Sunday. Obviously, they had trouble stopping that top line. Ovechkin is going to do what he does, but once Couturier got going, it changed the entire complexion of that game.
I mean, seeing him on the 4th line, I was like, is Craig Berube back in charge? Like the defensive zone draws. But yeah, you saw how important he was to this team. And the fact that he got 2 first game back, like that was so cool. Like that was awesome, especially the way that game started. I thought we were in for one. I really did. And they had one of their best third periods I've seen in a long time. And I don't think that when it got tough and the goalie was pulled, the fact that they were able to hold a lead, I think that had a lot to do with Couturier. This team leans on him more than we realized. And I think he proved it. And it was against a damn good team, too. Like, this team barely loses in regulation, the Capitals, and we won 7-4. Like, it wasn't even close. And our worst period was our best on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain with that. You don't win the Selke by not playing defense and also putting up points. But I was kind of confused, like Jack just alluded to. Why the hell was he on the 4th line? I understood starting him on the 4th line, getting his legs underneath of him, getting him moving. But, like, it was pretty obvious after the first period that Coots was one of the better players on the ice. And I would have immediately bumped him right back up. But you know what? We got the win. No big deal.
I'm going to assume he's still laboring a little bit. Coots is a worry. He probably came back a little early. He was supposed to be out a little bit longer. So I was surprised to hear that he played on Sunday, which kind of brings me to my next point here, guys. With a week off due to COVID, does that potentially help this team? They haven't played with their full roster since the 2nd game of the season when Coots went out. Then you had Myers missing for a little bit. Now Sanheim was out for a couple games. I can't remember. Was Myers out again in that last game, or did he come back for it? Either way, just a week off will help these guys get a little bit better, so that when they return, hopefully, number one, they're healthy. But we've mentioned before they've had issues playing defense as a unit, as a team. Do you think a week off helps them in any way to kind of reset their mind and go back out there and start over?
If it doesn't help for resetting the mind, it definitely helps for guys like Couturier and Myers and anybody else struggling with a little nitty injury that's been bothering them. I mean, it definitely helps Coots, like you said. He might have been still kind of laboring. He came back a little early, a week off, but still being able to work out, still being able to do all this stuff. It's definitely going to help those guys out.
Yeah, and Myers, I know, played Sunday, but he's still not 100%. And Couturier, obviously. So maybe it gives them a little bit of time to get some practices in. I don't know how much they'll be able to do with the COVID stuff, but right now,
facilities open back up Monday.
Yeah, so hopefully you get a little bit of practice time. You get to work on a couple things. It can't hurt. I don't think it's not like they were playing great, and you want to say let's not stop the momentum. Maybe you draw up a couple things, you start seeing more shots, but I think it's going to help the team as a whole. I just want to see them healthy. Give me a game with everybody that's penciled in, that should be penciled in, and let's see what this team is.
And Mighty Mouse makes a good point here. Carolina came out their off week playing pretty well, as did Dallas to start the season. They were like,
and Florida. Florida 7-1.
Yeah,
true. Like a lot of these teams that had time off had like time to practice and get their shit together. They're looking better. And one player that it's painful for me to kind of bring up, who I think could use a little time off. I think this could benefit Carter Hart a little bit.
Yep.
He needs to shut down. He hasn't played that bad, but the stats say otherwise. If you actually watch the game, you see he was completely hung out to dry for, I'd say, 80% of the goals he gave up. But nobody really likes to talk about that, and Hart knows that. And he had the frustration game where he broke his stick and what have you. And I'm sure there's plenty of goals he'd like back, but for the most part, this defense does him no favors. But it's also a fact that Elliott has outplayed him at this point. So I would definitely like to see him shut it down, get going again, and, take it as a fresh start. The team's got a good record, so it's not like you have to make up any ground. It'd be nice to have a couple of games in hand. Hopefully play a team like the Rangers on Thursday that aren't exactly doing that well. Get your confidence back up and, hit the ground running.
Yeah, how crazy would that be if, God forbid, hopefully nobody dies or anything crazy like that. But if this team kind of, if this little COVID break turns out to be a blessing in disguise, right? Because they don't really have their shit together. It hasn't really been fun to watch the Flyers this year, but somehow they're 8-3-2, something like that. And if they come back, I'm calling it a break. It's not really a break. It's, the COVID protocol thing. But if they come back from this, week layoff and kind of get their shit together a little bit, we could be looking at something here. Maybe Chuck starts to add at the deadline, whatever it is. They're going to have to add either way. Yeah, they're going to have to add. Yeah, it's going to be a weird year. I think what's going to end up happening also, because this COVID stuff is spreading so rapidly through teams, is the point percentages are going to start to matter a little bit. And if I'm not mistaken, right now the Flyers are 8th in the league overall in points percentage. So if the season ended today, they would be facing, if 10 teams make the playoffs. I have no idea what the playoffs are going to look like, but they'd be playing the Boston Bruins, which I thought was interesting.
I thought it was 8-8 make the playoffs.
I don't know. Somebody posted 10 teams.
I think
It's 4.
division, right?
Yeah, 4 in each division.
So yeah,
Right.
8-8, 8 East, 8 West, same as
Okay.
the standard playoff.
All right, so still facing Boston, I think, right?
No, Boston's number 1. We're number 2 in the
7.
division.
3. Oh, it's divisional. They play division opponents.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first 2 rounds are
The first 2
divisional.
rounds, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Do we know who's playing who after that? 'Cause
It's
I have no
top
idea.
versus bottom. So 1 versus 4.
Okay.
There's no East-West right now, so you could get anybody playing anyone.
Interesting.
As
Yeah, I
long
had
as
no
they're in
idea.
the same division until the
Okay.
conference final.
That's just, yeah.
All right. So we don't want to get matched up with Boston right now. Unless you
know.
guys think that they can beat
Every
Boston
year.
eventually.
Okay, so no Islanders, no Boston. Who's left? Like
See, but
Washington.
Are you sick of saying that kind of stuff? Like,
Yeah,
this-
a little bit.
that's kind of like where my disdain for, maybe it's not, maybe I shouldn't dislike Hextall as much as I do, but it's kind of like, man, we went through all that and we're still not that team. Like, we still have to worry about another team after all that BS. I think that's where it comes from. Like, why has it got to take 6 years to get this going, right? I don't know. Just, it irks me a little bit. I'm not going to get on Hextall again.
There's never a point in any playoffs that you can't go, all right, I really don't want to be matched up against this team. Like, I've never been a fan of a team that entered the playoffs. Like, I'm not worried about a goddamn team. Like, no, you're still going to worry about Tampa Bay in the conference final. You know what I mean? You still got to worry about Boston, even though they had to magic against Boston last year.
Who's playing good going in, like goalies or certain teams that are hot. So it's it's situational. We just know the teams that we don't play well against. However, we are 2-0 against the Islanders, so maybe the Matt Martin magic has worn off.
Interesting. So you think it's because of Matt Martin that did so well last year?
Jeez.
No,
They did look good against them, so
digress. Yeah, that's a positive. Yeah, they look good against the Islanders. What else do we got, guys? We're kind of coming up on an hour here. Is there any topics that we left out that you guys wanted to bring up during our first ever live show?
Come on, is Hacks or Fletcher making?
What do you got?
I'm not waiting till the deadline. They need a defenseman stat.
I'll tell you who they missed out on is Zdeno Chara. That was a massive mistake.
I said that before. We spent $3 million on Gustafsson, and this guy signs for almost league minimum. He's playing on their top pairing.
I mean, if you're going to pay a guy $3 million to suck, why not take a chance on Chara, right?
At $750K, I'd be much more comfortable scratching him than Gus.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was timing, but because Chara waited till like forever.
Yeah.
And they were supposedly on him. The only saving grace is like, did Chara just say, I don't want to play in Philly? Like, I'm kind of
Yeah, you
mad
never know.
because otherwise it's so dumb for me, for a team that clearly needs a defenseman, a leader, grit. Like, he checks all the boxes except for he's just old. That's it. That's the only negative. Gustafsson doesn't know how to play defense. That's a pretty big box, if you ask me.
Yep.
So one subject I wanted to bring up is Lawton's contract expires after this year and he's UFA. Obviously, you're going to look to re-sign him. I don't see why you just let a guy like that walk, especially the leaps and bounds of growth that Lawton has gone through in the last 3-4 years, especially. Is he pricing himself out of Philly? Do you guys think he's pricing himself out of Philly?
I think he potentially could be. I said that last year. I think he could be. I mean, the guy's been in the league. He was drafted in 2012. He might be looking to make some money. I'm sure he likes it here, but at the same time, he might have. You know, it is what it is. He's getting paid, and how much is he making now? It's like what,
I think
2
something.
2-3.
2.3 maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
2.3.
Braun made that last year, for God's sake. I mean, come on. Like, this guy's going to be looking to get something. You know, it's one team. All it takes is one team. Luckily for us, it's a flat cap era where other teams might not necessarily be looking to do that. Maybe we can get him on a 1 or 2 or whatever to keep him around a little bit longer. But it's hard to say. And the hat trick definitely helped his cause and not ours. So it's going to be tough to keep him, especially with everything we have to do, which is why if whoever Seattle takes, it needs to be either Jake or JVR. It needs to be one or the other. Just for money, just from a money standpoint, it needs to be one or the other because we're going to have a hard time keeping this team together.
Yeah, I agree. What would you guys feel comfortable Max Lawton getting? Oh, wait. Steve's got to drop off here. Steve, thanks for hanging out with us, buddy.
No problem, boys. Appreciate you guys having me. And Kyle, I'll see you Sunday.
Ooh, grudge match.
Oh, wait, we play?
Yeah.
Do we? All right, I'm hitting
Yeah.
the shit out of you, dude.
Bring it
So
on.
bet
Jack,
up.
you want to bet this game, Jack?
I'm going. They don't know which team I'm playing for, but it's going to be a surprise.
Jack's refereeing.
I'm going to hit.
It's all right. I'll take Jack to the bar beforehand, get him all hammered. We'll just laugh when he falls down.
There you go.
I'll tell you.
All right, boys. Appreciate
All right,
you
buddy,
having
have
me.
a good one. Thank you.
Take it easy.
All right. So we're coming towards the end of our episode. You guys just put out 2 monster episodes. Why don't we promote those a little bit? Kyle, yours came out last Friday. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your episode? You had an awesome guest. You obviously have an awesome host in Sean. Tell us a little bit about the Chris Stewart episode, man.
Yeah, man. Me and Sean had Chris Stewart on the Sheriff the other day. The dude's a class act. I mean, he's a freaking beaut. You guys have to check out this interview. We talked about his entire career. We got a little bit of draft day scoop from an angle you definitely wouldn't get from unless you were there, and he was obviously there. I mean, it's just amazing what the guy went through and what he's doing now and what he has planned for his future. You guys got to check out the interview. You can find the Sheriff at the Sheriff 2021. All of our podcasts are obviously posted to HW Radio. hwradio.net. You can find them all there or on any podcast platform.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode. I listened to it at the gym the other day. I love his candidness. You know, he didn't seem like he was there to big league anybody. It felt like you were just talking to one of your bros, right? If you're an aspiring hockey player, you're a younger kid, and you know you don't want to quite give up on your dream yet, listen to that episode. You might be motivated a little bit. Some great stuff there. You guys had an awesome first guest on the Sheriff, so I was really happy for you guys. Jack, you and Steve also just had a monster guest on Full Circle. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that episode?
Yeah, we just had TSN's very own James Duthie on. He is the Canadian broadcaster guy. I mean, he does hockey. He does their CFL. He did the Super Bowl up there for them. He is just their anchor, essentially. On top of that, he's a big hockey guy, and he wrote a couple of good books, one of which Steve is in love with, and I can't wait to get my hands on, called Beauties. It is literally all those behind-the-curtain stories with certain players. Everybody from like Wayne Gretzky all the way to Cole Bardreau, like just some will make you cry. Almost all of them will make you laugh. And it's just all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on that we would never be able to see. And it's phenomenal. He's got a bunch of other books out as well. He was such a great guy to talk to, so down to earth for how big he is. And he was so, looking forward to talking to us. We had a really nice conversation. We talked about juniors. We talked about a little bit about his career and his books and whatnot. And it was a great, fun conversation. And it was really enjoyable.
Dude, he was an awesome guest. I feel like, a guy in his position could have easily said, why would I come on this show? Blah, blah, blah. But, 800, what does he have? 800,000 followers. And it just seemed like you were talking to your buddy, right? Like you guys knew this guy for years. A bunch of great stories. Seemed like he was very easy to talk to, very easy to get along with. And if you're a listener and you enjoy listening to podcasts, I think you'll get a huge kick out of that episode. I know for one, I'm going to put in an order for that book, or I'm going to borrow it from Steve, because I kind of want to read some of those stories there. And we've come to the end of the show, boys and girls. So make sure you check out our site, hwhockey.net. Listen to all of our shows. Check out some of our articles. What else do we have coming up, guys? Anything important coming up? We're running a promo with Manscaped. Use our code HW. You can see it at the bottom of the screen there. 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. You can get things here like the body cleanser, the crop reviver. You got the Plow 2.0 with the straight blade. Great razor. Probably best razor I've ever had. You got the refined Manscaped cologne. We'll be giving some of this stuff out. It's non-open, so don't be afraid. You're not going to catch any disease, nothing like that. It's all good stuff. So we'll be giving some of this stuff away as promotions, but make sure you shout us out, guys. So at that, we're going to end our first ever live episode on HW. For those who tuned in and have been active in the comments, thanks very much. It means the world. And we're going to end the episode here. We'll be back next week, hopefully with some Flyers games to talk about, boys and girls.